suppose you'd better come in.
Thanks. What's up?
Dad, he's writing to the paper.
Who is it, dear?
It's only Peter.
Good evening, Mrs. Huggett.
Shh. Hello, Peter. He's writing to the paper.
You mean he's trying to? I can't hear myself think with all this whispering going on.
Sorry, Mr. Huggett. I'll go and wait in the hall.
Oh, that's all right. You come back here. Come on, come and sit down. I'm not going to bite you. You might be able to help.
I'm afraid I don't know much about letter writing.
All I want is a quotation. Something about a garden.
A garden?
Yes. There's quite a well-known one, but I can't quite remember how it goes.
How about a garden is a lovesome thing, God what?
Eh?
A garden is a lovesome thing, God what?
What do you mean, God what? Is that the way they teach you to talk at school?
Well, it's not her fault, Dad. She didn't write it.
Well, who did then?
Well, it's famous. Everyone knows that.
Well, I don't, for one.
Oh, I think it's a beautiful line. A garden is a lovesome thing, God what?
Well, I think it's potty. It's not the one I want anyway. My one goes, tararam, in a garden than anywhere else on earth.
Sounds familiar. Tararam, tararam in the garden. Tararam, tararam. Oh, is Susan ready then?
In a minute, dear.
I've got it. You can grow better flowers in a garden than anywhere else on earth.
That's it.
Write it down.
You
Can
grow
better flowers.
better flowers.
No, it's not right.
You're darn right it isn't. There's something queer about it.
Oh, Susan will be down in a minute,
Oh,
Peter.
good. What exactly do you want this quotation for, Mr. Huggett?
Well, my letter to the advertiser. That quotation had just sort of rounded off. But if we can't find it, it'll have to go without.
Well, I still think you should use the lovesome one.
Well, I don't see. A nice fat head I'd look writing stuff like that. Well, anyway, you listen to this, Peter. See what you think of it. To the editor of the advertiser. Dear sir, in view of the discussion now proceeding in the council as to the nature of the proposed war memorial...
Peter.
Oh, hello.
It's reading. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was just...
Can't wait till I've read this, I suppose.
Oh, we'll be late for the big picture, and it's Stuart Granger.
What's Stuart Granger got that I haven't?
Oh, to start with...
Don't tell him. You just listen to the letter.
Now, where was I? In view of the discussion now proceeding in the council as to the nature of the proposed war memorial, may I suggest that it should take the form of a pleasure garden and lido. This would not only beautify the river frontage of the borough, but would also provide a centre where our children could enjoy themselves in healthy surroundings, instead of frowsting in cinemas all the time. For the older folk, the pleasure garden would be a pleasant place of resort. Of or to? Of resort, where they could take their ease amid beautiful Mother Nature. I have the honour to remain, yours faithfully, J. Huggett.
I think it's a splendid idea, Mr. Huggett. I'm surprised nobody's thought of it before.
I think it's lovely, Joe. So artistic.
Yes.
Now perhaps we can go to the pictures. Coming, Peter?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry I couldn't remember the quotation.
Oh, that's all right. You buzz off and enjoy yourself.
Good night.
Good night.
Night. Oh, yeah, Pet, I've got a snooker game with Bill Adams. You copy that out neat and get it off in the post, see? I want to get it in this week's issue.
What, all that? I get writer's cramp. All right.
I say, Tom, that letter about pig clubs has got to come out.
What? Well, the paper goes to bed in 5 minutes.
I know, but the chief's got a pig club himself. Too bad. Oh, what have we got instead? Here, Bill, give me the WPB.
No. No. Not that one.
Ah, here's something. I think this'll do. It's from that chap Huggett. He wants a lido for a war memorial. Fine. Nobody cares about that. Bung it in.
And the advertiser?
Yes, it's in, Dad.
Then give it here.
Sir, in view of the discussion now proceeding in the council as to the nature of the proposed war memorial, may I suggest that it should turn to page 4, column 3.
What's that? Here, hand it over.
Column 3. Oh, yes, that it should take the form of a pleasure garden in Lido.
Well, go on.
Oh, that's all.
Why, rubbish. That's only the beginning. There you are. Take the form of a pleasure garden and Lido. A garden is a lovesome thing, God what? Yours faithfully, J. Huggett. Why, you little... I'll skin that child.
What for, dear?
What for? She's cut out the best bits in my letter.
Oh, she never. She copied it all out. I saw myself.
But I tell you,
I bet the editor blue penciled it, Dad. Short of space, you know.
the editor didn't put in that lovesome God whatery.
No, dear, that was me.
You?
Well, you were so keen on a quotation, and I thought it was so pretty and, well, you know, literary, if you know what I mean.
Literary?
Well, the editor must have thought so, too, or he'd have cut that bit out with the rest.
I can't think of any other man in Stratton who has his breakfast mucked up more often than I do. I'd like to give that editor a piece of my mind.
I'd like to give that editor a piece of my mind.
Now, what's he done?
Some silly fool writes in suggesting that the war memorial should be a Lido in a pleasure garden by the river, and he's got to go and print it.
But there's no harm in that, surely.
No harm, supposing people take him seriously.
They won't, love. Everyone knows your scheme for the community centre's the one the council's going to accept.
Not yet. The report won't come up for a couple of months.
When it does, it'll be passed. Goes without saying. Why, you've got a clear majority on the council, haven't you, dear?
That's just the trouble. I've only a working majority. If some of the independents decide to vote with the progressives, they might easily upset the whole thing.
Even if they did, wouldn't be the end of the world, would it?
Might easily be. If my community centre scheme goes through, the council will buy that land on Maddox Avenue.
That belongs to Jim, doesn't it?
It's in Jim's name. 80% of the cash comes to me, not to mention the building contract.
But you'll get that anyway.
I'm not so sure. Lidos are not in our line.
Oh, don't worry, love. It'll all come right.
It had better.
Morning, sir.
Morning, Huggett.
Good morning, sir.
You've been bursting into print.
Oh, just a few lines, sir.
Not a bad suggestion, I thought.
Oh, really? Oh, thank you, sir.
And I'll tell you something else I liked about your letter. It was terse, crisp, and businesslike. Not a word wasted.
Well, it's very nice of you to say so, sir.
Some people would have waffled on for pages more, but you knew when to stop. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Susan.
Morning, Mr. Lever. Jackson and Wallace just telephoned. They'd like you to ring them back.
Oh, all right. Get them for me, will you? By the way, I didn't know you came of a literary family, Susan.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
That was quite a smart letter of your father's in the Advertiser.
Well, it's nothing to what he can do when he's really roused.
That's a good idea. Where does he think this Lido ought to be?
Down by the river, I suppose. That's where Lidos generally are, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, I suppose it is.
Salmon double sweet cod. Only cod today, I'm afraid, Mrs. Huggett.
Oh, dear, what a game.
I'm afraid so. I see that your good man has been rushing into print.
Oh, you read that?
Naturally. A splendid idea.
Thank you.
Well, 1 and 9.
1 and 9, thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh, Mrs. Huggett, just been wrapping your old men around a bit of cod.
Ah.
That's the stuff to shake 'em up. Call themselves a council. Feathered in their own nest, that's what. Got a nice bit of place. Mum's the word, you know. Cod. 2 bob.
Why, Grandma, I didn't know you ever came to mackerels.
I don't, but they've had nothing but cod at Mason's all the week. And if there's one thing I can't abide, it's cod. My stomach just revolves on me at the sight of it.
Well, you may get a bit of place today if you're lucky.
Well, it's about time. I see Joe's been pushing himself forward.
What do you mean?
Getting his name in the papers.
Oh, that.
Not that anyone troubled to tell me. I shouldn't have known about it if it hadn't been for the milkman.
It was a lovely letter, wasn't it? Wrote it all in one day, too.
He'll be standing for Parliament next.
Grandma, what a horrid thing to say about anyone.
Well, I don't hold with people pushing themselves forward.
You mean Joe? He never pushed in his life. Well, I couldn't even get him to push the pram when the kids was little. Grandma, look, you miss your place.
No place, Ma. How about a nice bit of cod?
Theo! Come in a minute, will you? I've got something to show you.
What's up?
I'm not sure, but I think we might be onto something very sweet.
Lever Wilson and Company? Oh, it's you, Peter. Of told you before, Mr. Lever doesn't like personal calls during office hours.
I know, but I couldn't wait. I just had to phone up. I wanted to see if you decided yet.
No, I haven't.
Oh, well, what about tonight?
Oh, all right. Call for me about 7.
Yes, but assuming they do have a Lido, why must they build on the south bank? The north would be much more suitable.
Well, except for one thing. The land's not for sale.
I didn't know that.
Well, very few people do. It happens to be part of the Bramley estate, and there's a big lawsuit pending that'll tie it up indefinitely. They wouldn't be able to sell it if they wanted to.
Do you mean to say that if they do decide to have a Lido, they've got to build on the south bank?
That's right. Now, look, Bramley estate. We own all this bit. I've just taken an option on this bit. So as soon as we buy this small piece, we've got them where we want them. We can clean up.
Yes, what about Old Hall and his community centre?
Oh, we'll have to see that the council turn that down.
Easier said than done, oh boy.
I don't know so much. There's a by-election coming off in the Riverside ward, isn't there?
Yes, we haven't put up a candidate.
You could nominate one if you wanted to.
Waste of time, oh boy. Riverside's always voted moderate ever since Julius Caesar's time. Progressive wouldn't stand a chance.
I'm not so sure.
Of course, Harold, whoever's lucky enough to get the nomination will be returned unopposed. There never has been a contest in the Riverside ward, and there never will be. It's a safe, moderate seat.
Yes.
I've never heard you, Harold, but I'm told you speak very well at the open-air meetings in the park.
Weather permitting, yes.
Well, in a town of this size, I suppose you'll agree that some kind of cultural centre is essential?
Why, I not only agree, but I'd fight for it to my last breath. Why, without a cultural centre, the body politic is without a soul, and the spirit is denied a chance to develop. But we mustn't forget the principles of democracy, Uncle. This is a country in which all ideas should be allowed to flourish freely.
Jolly good, old boy, but don't overdo it.
Yes, I'm sorry, Uncle, but I get carried away. You know, I often think of Lincoln's words. Government for the people, by the...
Yes. Now, we're going to go about this business in a fully democratic way. I'm going to make a proposition to you. As chairman of the Independents, I'm going to nominate you tomorrow for the Riverside by-election.
Me?
Yes, you. When you're on the council, you can fight for the community centre with every breath in your body. What do you say?
Well, I don't know what to say. The proposition appeals to me. Well, it appeals to my best instincts, but, well, there's one thing that worries me, Uncle.
Oh? What's that?
Well, if I accept, and I feel I shall, I must never let my personal ambitions or the vested interests of my friends blind me in the prosecution of my political faith or the furtherance of my country's interest. Furtherance of my country's interest.
Well, I'm very glad to hear it, but for the moment, just concentrate on my community centre, will you?
Yes, I will. Thank you very much, Uncle. By the way...
Yes?
What exactly is a community centre?
Very attractive. You don't mind my saying so?
Oh, you made me jump. I thought you'd gone.
No. As a matter of fact, I want to ask you something.
It won't take long, will it? Only I've got a date.
Oh, in that case, why don't you let me drive you home? We can talk in the car.
Oh, I don't want to take you out of your way.
I don't mind being taken out of my way. Like some people. Come on.
Oh, it's you, Susan. Why don't you use your key?
Mother, this is Mr. Lever.
Oh,
How do you
good
do,
evening.
Mrs.
Pleased
Huggett?
to meet you, I'm sure. Is anything wrong?
No, he just wants to talk to Dad, that's all.
Oh, why didn't you come in? Oh,
so
come
sorry.
in. If you're waiting here, I'll just call my husband.
Thank you, Mrs. Huggett.
Well, good night, Mr. Lever, and thank you very much for the lift.
Good night, Susan. Perhaps we'll try it again sometime.
Come on.
No.
It's Mr. Lever.
Well, what does he want to see me for?
I don't know. He didn't say. You haven't been up to anything, have you, Joe?
Well, what can I get up to? Me, a married man with 3 kids.
Well, I don't know. You've been playing a lot of snooker lately.
Ah, hello, Mr. Huggett. Delighted to meet you.
Same here, sir.
I've just brought Susan home in my car, so I took the opportunity of dropping in. I hope you don't mind.
No, of course not, sir. Yes.
Well, it's a wonderful kid you've got there, Mr. Huggett.
Oh, I'm glad you think so, sir.
She's smart at her work, too, so far.
Well, she takes after her mother, you know.
I'd have thought it was her father she took after. That letter of yours in the Advertiser has caused quite a stir.
Oh, that? Oh, I just knocked it off in one evening, you know.
Oh, no, I think you've started something. Several people have mentioned it to me. And Wilson, that's my partner, you know, he's very keen on this Lido suggestion. He'd like to meet you and talk over one or two ideas he's got for it.
Oh, really, sir?
Tell you what, how about having a drink with us sometime?
Well, that's very kind of you, I'm sure.
Oh, that. Now, let's see. What's today? Friday. I'm playing golf with him tomorrow. Suppose you come round to the club at about 6:30?
Suits me.
Good. And that's a date.
All right, sir.
Quiet, isn't it? What's the matter?
I can't go on like this, Sue. Honest, I can't.
Oh, Peter. Must we have this all over again? It's so hot.
Oh, it's no use. I can't help it. I've been crazy about you ever since I swapped my tortoise for your white mouth.
Oh, Peter, don't you realize we've got beyond that?
I know I have. I want to marry you, Sue.
Oh, Peter.
Don't say it like that. What's wrong with being married?
Nothing. Especially if you're a tortoise.
I'm not joking, Sue. Really.
Neither am I. A tortoise is lucky enough to have its own house. We haven't.
But even if we had to wait, couldn't we be engaged or something?
I don't know.
Sue, please.
I'll have to think about it. You'll have to give me time.
How long?
A week?
But that's ages. Oh, Sue, couldn't we just...
Peter, look! We're drifting! Quick, get the pole! Peter! Peter, get it! Peter! Oh! Oh!
Mrs. Huggett?
That's right.
My name's Christie. I've come on a small matter of business.
Oh.
Yes, possible conveyance of title to certain property, to wit land.
Twitland? Oh, no, not today. Mr. Huggett's out. You'll have to come back another day.
Well, it wasn't exactly Mr. Huggett I wanted to see. It was Mrs. You are Mrs., aren't you?
What, me? Yes, of course I am.
Oh, well, I won't keep you a moment. May I?
Yes, come in.
Well, come straight to business. Question of certain holdings duly registered in your name, which presumably might, in certain eventualities, come on the market. Follow me?
I'm not sure. Could you say it all again, please?
Oh, no need, no need. I have here the Ordnance Survey map of the district. Here we are, hereditament, hatched in red, popularly known as 28 Riverside Drive, correct?
Oh, you mean that bit of land by the river?
Precisely.
Oh, why ever couldn't you say so? All that palaver about holdings and conveniences and whatever. Why, what's happened to the land? Anything the matter with it?
Nothing at all. I merely wish to inquire whether you're prepared to sell it.
Sell it? Oh, no, I couldn't do that.
Get you a very handsome price for it.
How much?
£300.
What, for this?
Well, perhaps £350 if you're lucky.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I can't. You see, it isn't mine to sell.
Not yours?
No, you see, it was left to me and my cousin Edie by our grandfather, because we were the only two grandchildren.
What, you mean it's a joint tenure?
What?
The hereditament passed to you jointly on the expiry of the deceased?
No.
But you just said that...
No, I just said it belonged to me and my cousin Edie, half each. And you see, we promised my grandpa that we'd keep it as a nest egg and not sell it unless we was absolutely desperate.
I see. What's your cousin's name, Mrs. Huggett?
Edie Hopkins.
Edie Hopkins. Well, I'd better see her then, hadn't I?
You can't. She's dead, poor thing. She had a bad stomach.
Oh, dear. Well, that rather complicates matters, doesn't it? Did she die intestate?
Oh, no. She had a bad stomach, like I was telling you.
No, what I mean is, who did she leave the land to?
Oh, to her daughter, Diana Hopkins.
Diana Hopkins.
And of course, she's not Hopkins anymore.
What, you mean she changed her name?
That's right. She got married, you see.
Yes, might I have her present name and address, Mrs. Huggett?
Yes, of course. She married that young Gowan, you know, who got the garage on the Broadway, just before you come to the Green Man. It's just on the corner. I've forgotten the number.
Don't bother any more, Mrs. Huggett. I'm quite sure I can find it for myself. Thank you. Good afternoon.
But if you come the other...
Thank you.
What was your bit of tape?
Oh, thank you.
Good heavens. Beau Brummel in person. That Joe Huggett.
He only wants a mashy behind his ear and he'll pass for Sid Field. Ah, there you are, Huggett. Nice of you to come.
How are you?
Yes, come and meet my friend and partner, Theo Wilson. Mr. Huggett.
Pleased to meet you.
How do you do? Now, what'll it be, whiskey?
Thanks, I don't mind if I do.
3 doubles, George.
Yes.
You play golf, Mr. Huggett?
Oh, no, I've got no time for games, really. I do a bit of gardening, you know.
Ah, that accounts for your leader scheme. You know, I'm not a sentimental man, Mr. Huggett, but when I read that letter of yours in the Advertiser, I was quite touched.
You weren't the only one, Theo. Well, here's your scheme for a People's Park and Lido, Huggett.
Yeah, good night. You know, I said to old Morris here, that fella Huggett, he's got something. What was that bit I liked so much? I said, what was the bit I liked so much?
Oh, the bit you like, the Hey Nonny Got What you put in.
What was it, Huggett?
A garden is a lovesome thing. God, what?
That's it. Jolly original. Drink up. We'll have another.
Hello, this is me. Same again, George.
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, that came off a seedsman's calendar in our kitchen.
Well, it doesn't matter where you got it from. Shows the stuff you're made of. Not one, but several chaps have said to me, now that's the sort of fellow we need on the council.
The council? Come off it.
No, seriously, no, boy. It's men like you with no axe to grind that are needed in public life these days.
As a matter of fact, old boy, we happen to know that Old Hall's scheme for a community centre is a complete racket.
You don't say.
Shall we tell him, old boy?
I think we must, old boy.
Well, look, our idea is this. We want you to stand for the council in the by-election in Riverside Ward.
Me?
Well, why not? The Lido's your idea. You're the man to push it through.
Don't rush him, old boy. Give him time to think it over.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I couldn't do that. I feel silly. I'll have to ask the missus first.
Ask her by all means. But don't let her put you off. This is important.
I've got to tell the boss, too.
Of course. Go right ahead.
Drink up and have another. George, same again.
Yes, sir.
I suppose if I let you know by next Monday, it'll be okay?
Sure.
Of course. Nobody's rushing you. But we'll all be very disappointed if you don't say yes. Well, here's to Huggett.
Councillor Huggett.
His worship the mayor.
No. Oh, dear.
What's that, Mum? Aren't you feeling well?
I'm not sure.
What's the matter?
But you're dead.
What's he done?
He's going to stand for the council.
What?
You heard.
Joe, it's not true.
What do you mean it's not true? I've as much right as anyone else to stand for the council.
Oh, dear, I feel queer.
Good old Dad. Vote for Huggett.
Don't worry, Mum, you'll never get in.
Who says?
But nothing like that's ever happened before. Not even Uncle Stan ever stood for the council.
I think it's a smashing idea.
Well, I'm glad to hear someone thinks something good about it.
Impudent, impertinent, crazy upstart. Of all the blasted tomfoolery.
What's the matter now, love? More nationalisation?
No, worse. That fellow Huggett standing for the council.
Huggett? But he's only a workman, isn't he? He'll never get in.
Not if I can prevent it. It means I shall have to work twice as hard to get Hinchley elected. Oh, otherwise my community scheme is off. If only I could think of some way to get Huggett to stand down.
It's really too absurd. Can you imagine that funny little Mrs. Huggett being a councillor's wife? Oh,
Funny? Oh. Funny. Mildred, I think you've hit it. Why didn't I think of it before? You'll have to make her see. Tell her she'll be the laughing stock of the place. Tell her she can never live up to be a councillor's wife in 1,000 years. You can exaggerate the duties a bit, but for Pete's sake, frighten her so much that she makes that idiot fool of a husband of hers forget the whole idea.
I'd like to see Mrs. Huggett. Will you please tell her?
Oh, I'm Mrs. Huggett.
Oh, how stupid of me not to have recognized you at once, of course. You do remember me, I hope.
Oh, do I?
I'm Mrs. Hall, Alderman Hall's wife.
Oh, yes. It was you, gave prizes away at the flower show.
That's right. How clever of you to remember. May I come in?
Yes, of course. Mind the monkey brand.
Oh, do sit down. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you remember the flower show, Mrs. Huggett, because it rather brings me to what I came to see you about. You must be a very brave woman.
Why? Oh, because I scrubbed my own doorstep.
Oh, dear, no. Because you're prepared to be a councillor's wife.
Oh, that.
As soon as I read about your husband in the newspapers, Mrs. Huggett, I felt I simply had to come and sympathise.
Sympathise?
Perhaps I should explain. You see, my husband has been a councillor for 25 years. Mrs. Huggett, I can't tell you what a strain it's been.
Oh, I am sorry.
I don't know when I was last able to call my cell my own.
Oh, dear.
The social duties. You can't imagine. Not a day passes without I'm entertaining someone. Oh, you know the sort of thing. Best silver tea service, French pastries, sardine fingers, pâté de foie gras.
Pâté de what?
Pâté de foie gras.
Well, I have to do all that.
But of course. Then, of course, you'll be called upon to make speeches.
In public?
Oh, yes. Public meetings, committee meetings, welcoming important visitors, royalty.
Royalty?
Oh, yes.
I'll make a cup of tea.
Aye. That's how they got visitors. Shall we call back?
What for? You're part of the family now, aren't you?
Of course we are.
Hey, you're downright toots. Come on, babe.
Saucy.
Hey, dear, what about the goods? Oh, all right. Come on, Gil. Up she daisy.
Mrs. Huggett, I was wondering if you consider saying a few words at a garden fete that the Women's Institute are getting up next Wednesday.
A dress of fate?
Oh, I'm sure everyone would be delighted to meet you. And you could meet all the other councillors' wives.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Anyone at home?
Grandma! This is my mother, Mrs. Hall.
How do you do?
Mustn't grumble. But my poor feet have been giving me what for lately.
Really? Yes. Now, as I was saying, Mrs. Huggett, about this fete, don't you...
Oh, I am, Mrs. H. Everything under control?
Go into the kitchen. I'll be there in a moment.
Kitchen?
What's the matter with you? Aren't we good enough for the front room?
Oh, Di, yes, come in. This is Mrs. Hall, my niece Diana, and our husband, Mr. Gowan.
Hello.
How do you do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, park the carcass.
Oh, Pet! Oh, yes, Mrs. Hall, about the Women's Institute, I'd be very pleased to come if Pet could come with me.
Oh, well, that'll be splendid. Of course, my dear, that will be nice.
Well, I know you're busy, Auntie, so I'll just say why we came and get it over with. Won't take half a second. A fellow named Christie came to see us about Riverside Drive. He made Di a very nice offer, and I think she should take it.
Well, I don't.
Well, I don't see why I should suffer just because you want to hang on to a measly bit of land.
Now, look here, Di. My Oh, Mrs. Hall, what must you think of us? We'll talk about it later on.
Quite all right. I really must be getting along. I can see that I'm disturbing a family reunion.
Oh, have a cup of tea before you go, Mrs. Hall.
No, thank you so much. Well, goodbye.
Goodbye.
I am delighted to have met you all.
Charmed, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Pet, show Mrs. Hall out.
Thank you, my dear.
Now, Archie, about that bit of land.
Now, don't you start shouting at me, because I won't do it. I won't do it.
All right.
I think I've scared her stiff.
Good.
Of course, I had to lay it on pretty thick, you know. But if she doesn't ask her husband to call the whole thing off, my name's not Mildred Hall.
What sort of time did you have?
Not too bad, really. She's a nice enough little woman. Then some awful relations arrived, so I left.
Come to offer their congratulations, I suppose.
No. Funnily enough, they started talking about a man called Christie. He wants to buy some land off them.
Land, eh?
Mrs. Huggett didn't seem at all keen to sell. Looked like a family argument, so I thought I'd better go. Never liked it.
They didn't say where it was by any chance.
Riverside Drive, I think.
By George, Mildred, I believe you've tumbled onto something.
What?
Wilson and Lever own all the land on Riverside. The only place you could build a Lido, except for one small plot. I'll bet this is the one. Christie must be working for them.
What are you going to do?
I'll show you. Bentley, I want you to do something for me straight away.
Yes, sir.
Go round to, where is it, Mildred?
Huggetts? 34 Oakfield Avenue.
Yes, I want you to go round there and see Mrs. Huggett. She's got a plot of land for sale on Riverside Drive. Buy it.
What do you want to pay for it, sir?
You can pay her £50 above her last offer. Not for me, you understand?
Very good, sir.
What on earth are you doing that for?
To prevent Wilson and Lever getting it. They can't push through their Lido scheme without it. If they think they're going to put a spoke in my wheel, they're jolly well mistaken.
Well, I didn't think you'd have any trouble in getting it.
Well, they want to sell all right, and I can get it for $350. Only they can't do anything without Mrs. Huggett.
Can't they persuade her?
My guess is they'll try. They want the money.
All right. You keep after them. Go to 400 if you must. I'll have a go in another direction. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Lever.
No, Peter. No, I don't want to. Well, all right, then, if you promise not to be silly, I'll consider it. Okay, call for me about 7. Look, I must go now because I'm wanted. Goodbye. I'm sorry, Mr. Lever, I was on the phone.
That's all right. Look, Susan, I hate asking you to work overtime, but how are you fixed tonight?
Well, I had promised to go out, but...
Would you mind very much if I asked you to put it off? Just this once? I'm in rather a hole. There's a pretty tricky job to be settled with Harris out of the Blue Star Roadhouse, and I need someone to take notes. We could have a spot to eat there afterwards. Can you bear the idea?
Well, if you need me...
Good girl, I knew I could rely on you. We'll get moving about 6:30, shall we?
I'll be ready.
Hello, Pat.
I thought you're not waiting for Susan, are you?
Yes, why?
Well, she just rung Mum up. She's working overtime tonight.
Oh. Well, when will she be back?
Well, not for ages. She said not to wait supper.
But didn't she leave any message for me?
Don't think so.
Oh, go on, I say, are you sure?
I'm sorry, I can't wait. I'll be late for the club.
Let's order a drink, shall we? While I scout round for old Harris. What'll it be?
Oh, I don't mind. Anything.
Oh, what about a little gin or something? French? 2 gin and French, Harvey. I'll go and see if he's about. Won't be a second.
Compliments will get you nowhere with a girl like me. What are you trying to sell me with those pretty speeches? Pretty is as pretty does the good book teaches. Compliments will get you nowhere. Words don't make me thrill. But if you think a lot of me and want to show it, words are only words, so baby, make me know it. Compliments will get you nowhere, like some token of affection will.
Well, here's to your lovely blue eyes.
You're wrong, Mr. Lever. They're grey.
Oh, are they? Well, only 50% wrong, but still lovely. Do you like it here?
Not bad.
They got a good band. If Harris doesn't keep us working all night, we might have a turn around the floor later on. What do you say?
I like that.
Good. Then we'll try and hurry him up.
Excuse me, sir. A message for you.
Oh, yes?
Mr. Harris has been delayed, sir. He won't be able to get here for about an hour.
Oh.
He's very sorry. He hopes you'll have dinner here while you're waiting.
Oh, well, that's not a bad idea, is it? All right, we'll eat straight away.
Very good, sir. I've got a table for you over there.
starving. How are you?
Oh, I'm quite peckish.
Peckish. I'm as hungry as a wolf.
As long as you don't eat me.
I wouldn't be too sure of that, Miss Huggett. You probably think our sort of business is awfully dull.
Oh, no, I don't, really.
As a matter of fact, it can be quite exciting when you know what's going on. For instance, right at this moment, everyone who's in the know is selling.
Why?
Because land values are going to drop.
How do you know?
Inside information. If you've got a property that's worth £1,000 today, they drop to 500 inside a month. All the smart boys are getting out now while the going's good.
Well, I've had an offer for her little bit of land. Should I tell her?
Who's the offer from?
A man called Christie, I think.
Well, he's a very reliable chap. Honest, too. I've done business with him myself. If his offer's anything like good, my advice would be to take it. Quickly.
I'll tell Mum.
No charge for the advice, Stella, since it's all in the family.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. Harris has come through again. He's very sorry, but he won't be able to manage it tonight after all. He hopes you can make it tomorrow instead.
All right. Well, there's only one thing I can say after that.
What?
May I have the pleasure of this dance?
Oh, yes, of course.
That you, Peter?
Yes, Mr. Huggett.
What are you doing here this time of night?
Waiting for Susan.
Isn't that girl home yet?
No. She's doing overtime.
Well, that's no reason why you should.
I know. But I've just got to, Mr. Huggett.
Well, don't you be silly. Waiting for a woman's a mug's game.
Yes, Mr. Huggett.
Go on, you cut off home before you get pneumonia.
Yes, Mr. Huggett.
Off you go now.
Yes. Good night.
Good night.
Happy? We ought to do this more often, don't you think?
What's the matter?
Dunno. Something wrong. I'd better take a look. No, excuse me. Let's pull the throttle out. Now, try the starter, will you? On the floor, by your foot.
Are you out of petrol?
No, it's not there. Blast the thing. Nope. I'm afraid it's something serious. I can't do anything with it.
Well, what are we going to do, walk?
Oh, we'd never make it. It's nearly 20 miles.
Well, can't we get a lift?
I doubt it. Nothing much comes this way.
This is terrible.
Look, there's a pub I know about half a mile on. They can probably put us up for the night.
For the night, well, Mum would have a fit.
But why? You'll be quite safe.
She'd never believe that. It's too much like the old story.
I know. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But you could ring her up when we get there, then we'll do whatever she says. Right?
I suppose so. I'll get my hat. Peter, what are you doing here?
I'm just on my way home. Is, something wrong?
My car's broken down.
I'm afraid I don't know much about cars. I can give you a lift, Susan, if you like.
Oh, Peter, can you?
I can't manage to, I'm afraid.
What am I supposed to do?
You'd better stay and look after the car, aren't you? Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks a lot, Peter.
Oh, that's all right.
You took it very well after the way I let you down.
I'd do anything for you, Susan. Anything.
By the way, how did you happen to be on that road?
I was looking for you.
Why?
Because I love you.
What's What's loving me got to do with it?
Well, I didn't want you to get into any trouble, that's all.
You mean you didn't trust me out with Mr. Lever? That's it, isn't it?
Well, as a matter of fact, yes.
I can take care of myself.
Didn't look like it, getting stuck in a broken-down car with a married man.
Who says he's married?
I do.
Well, he isn't.
Oh, yes, he is.
How do you know?
Never you mind how I know.
You're just saying that because you're jealous.
For Pete's sake, why don't you two get married and let's all have a good night's sleep for a change?
Good evening, Mr. Huggett.
Ladies and gentlemen, I should like to remind you that a month today we are holding a special baby show. 2:30 till 6. All mothers are welcome. Fathers too, of course. And there will be valuable prizes for the prettiest baby. Now, although time is short, I repeat, only a month, I shall count upon you all to run round and produce a record number of babies for the show. I now come to the pièce de résistance of the afternoon. I shall call upon Mr. Tula Huggett to conclude our meeting with a song. Come along, Petula.
Yes, thank you. I hope you don't mind if I sing an old song, but I think the old songs are often the best, don't you? This is my favorite, and I hope you like it too. In other lands I've wandered since we parted. I seek the garden fair beside the stream. I tread each well-known pathway weary-hearted, for all I see recalls the old sweet dream. No more on earth your loving smile will cheer me. No more on earth your dear face I shall see. Yet memories of the past are ever near me, and linger round the dear old apple tree. In the shade of the old apple tree, when the love in your eyes I could see, when the voice that I heard, like the song of the bird, seemed to whisper sweet music to me. I could hear the dull buzz of the bee in the blossoms as you said to me. With a heart that is true, I'll be waiting for you in the shade of the old apple tree. Thank you. And now, if you don't mind, I'd like to sing a new version of the same song written by some friends of mine. In the shade of the old apple tree, the river rolls down to the sea, where the children can play on the Lido all day, and the grown-ups have afternoon tea. Just a Lido for you and for me, and that is what you'll see. The dresses are the best. Vote for Huggett. And rest in the shade of the old apple tree.
Then all the kids from the youth club came in and everyone was singing Vote for Huggett and Down in the Shade of the Old Apple Tree. Till really I didn't know where to look. You'll have to speak to her, Joe.
Oh, I'm glad somebody sticks up for me. Now, how do I look?
All right.
Well, you might look a bit more enthusiastic about it.
I can't. If you want to know, I wish you'd never gone in for this council lark.
Why not?
What's getting me down? What with Lidos and apple trees and speeches in public and royalty coming to dinner?
Who said anything about royalty coming to dinner?
Mrs. Hall did. She said I've got to entertain them.
Well, Mrs. Hall was talking through her hat. And for why?
Well, I don't know.
Because she's trying to put you and me off this council stunt, that's why. This Lido lark's interfering with that old man's racket. Else why do you suppose she came round stuffing you up with all that ruddy nonsense?
The two-faced thing.
Well, go on, give us a kiss and leave us in peace. I want to study my speech.
Oh,
Go on, off you go.
Skin that, Mrs. Hall. Throat it.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow citizens of Stratham, it gives me great pleasure to be here tonight. I now speak to you in a very humble capacity, but I hope the day will come when I shall serve you on a far higher level. Ah, Clem, glad to see you. Hello, Winston. Nice to see you again. How's the painting? Fine. Hello, Emmanuel. Stopped adding fuel to the fire? Your Majesty, this is a great honour. Meet the missus.
Oh, Dad, can you give me a shilling for the gas? I've run out.
Well, then you can't say that.
Which one's that?
If you vote for me, I will see to it that your interests are safeguarded.
But that's reasonable.
Your job is to get in, not to make promises.
Yes, but I've got to say what I feel, Uncle.
You can't say that.
But look, that one's important.
No. Or that.
But...
that's better. Now, I'll see what you've got.
Ladies and gentlemen. That's all.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard Mr. Hinchley express himself so admirably. I have very much pleasure in introducing to you our second candidate, Mr. Joe Huggett.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me very great pleasure to be here tonight.
Don't give us any, chum.
You don't know what's coming to you yet, chum.
And neither do you.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. Now, as you'll soon find out, I'm not much of a speechifier. It's not my line. I believe in getting things done, not talking about them. So I'm not going to give you a lot of hot air about this, that, or the other thing that wants doing in Stratham. You know it backwards. And we'll leave all the hot air to the House of Commons. I want to say just one simple thing. To me, Stratham's like a family. A whacking big family, but a family just the same. Now, I've got nothing against big families. I've had a pretty fair-sized one myself. But there's one thing you've got to have if you're a big family, and that is space. You've got to have a place where the old folk can have a bit of peace and quiet. You've got to have a place where the kids can let off steam. And you've certainly got to have a place where the middle-aged can shake the dust of their in-laws off their feet. Now, I say that a pleasure garden and swimming pool or Lido is the answer to all these problems. And if you're voting for me, then you're voting for that. Of course, you may think that I'm a sentimental old codger, but to me, there's something sweet and clean and refreshing about a garden. Something that makes you feel better, gives you a new lease of life. There's a bit of poetry that explains what I mean better than I can explain it myself. It goes, well, I'm not so sure how it starts as a matter of fact, but I know it finishes up, the song of the birds for mirth. You're nearer God's heart in a garden than anywhere else on earth.
Ah, shut up.
You're better watch the garden by the river, chap, not up here.
Quite. Yeah.
Seeing that Dad's so busy at this meeting, we thought we'd come over and, well, keep you company, Ma.
Oh, nice of you.
Yes.
Now, Ma, Di and I have been talking things over, and we don't feel it's right to keep money tied up in land. Well, it's against our principles. We like to see it circulate freely.
That's right. How, in one door of the wheat sheaf and out of the other?
Now, I hope I'm enough of a gentleman to ignore that remark. Anyway, the point is that we like to sell our bit of land.
Well, Ethel, what do you say? I'm not speaking.
Now, listen to me. Are you ready to sell your share, or aren't you?
No, I'm not. Why not? You know perfectly well why not. Grandfather left it to us as a nest egg, and he said we wasn't to sell it unless we was in trouble. If Di was in trouble, it'd be different, but she isn't. Are you? Of course not. Granddad had his head screwed on right, and if he bought that land, it was bought to some purpose. A bit of swamp. Swamp or no swamp, he knew what was what. I wouldn't wonder if there was uranium or penicillin in it. I'm not selling.
Pig-headed. That's what you are, Ethel, always was.
Now, look, why don't you leave this to me? I'm the only one with business experience.
Business? Under-the-counter stuff, that's all you know about. Under-the-counter? What about those nylons you've got on?
Pig-headed, that's what she is, pig-headed.
I never was so insulted in my life. As a matter of fact, I bought these nylons and gave my coupon. I'll bet you did.
Now, look, I'm not going to get stuck up behind a little...
Neither am I. Start shouting at me, because I won't do it. You're calling me a liar, aren't you? Yes, if you like, and you're...
Look, you're going to go and sell that land, or I'm going to...
For the last time, I am not going to sell it.
The old lot of the Huggett is pig-headed, that's what they are. Pig-headed. Pig-headed. Pig-headed.
Did you get one, Pet? Well, sort of. How's the poster going?
Oh, it's finished by the lettering.
Gosh, Dudley, it's whizzing.
Do you really think so?
Smashing. How long do you think it'll take to do the ones with Dad in?
Well, it's all according to what you've got from it.
Oh, I'm afraid it's rather faded.
It's a bit of a comic, isn't it?
Someone took it for a joke at the firm's cricket match.
Is this the best you can do?
I'm afraid so. He doesn't go much in for photographs. The only other one was a wedding group, and they'd missed that.
Well, this'll have to do, but it's going to be tough. I say, Beth, would you come on? How about a kiss on the counter?
You got it, Chic. You deliver the poster first, then I'll see.
Harold Hitchley, don't forget to vote, Mrs. Anakin, will you? Harold Hitchley.
Right. Now we're all together, we can get started. Now you've all been to Ruth, haven't you? All right, now we'll meet here again when we've finished. Is that clear? Is that clear? All right? Okay. Now let's go, make it snappy.
Good evening, ladies. What a dear little dog you've got. What?
Naughty Trixie. Don't mind her barking. She's nervous.
Oh, she's not nervous of me, are you, beauty?
Oh, what was it you were wanting?
Your votes, madam.
We don't vote. No, we never vote. We don't believe in it.
Yeah, but this is only a municipal election. I mean, I want your support for this Lido lark. Perhaps you read my letter in the paper.
Yes, we saw it. We read it. We don't believe in it. Why, I might put the Lido near the river, and that would never do for us. You see, we are the owners of the Bramley estate. We haven't agreed on its disposition. And it's a subject of litigation, so we can't discuss it.
Yes, but wouldn't you like somewhere where you can fling your clothes off and bathe?
Fling off? We don't bathe. We never have. We don't believe in it.
Yes, but it'd be quiet, see? Somewhere where little doggies can take their exercise away from nasty motors.
Oh, I see. Just a moment. We'll look into it. We might even consider it. Favorably, perhaps.
Well, thank you very much, lady. That's very kind of you. There's Wuzzy.
There we are.
Good night, lady.
Good night. Good night.
Shut the gate!
Ladies, I ventured to call this evening to...
Did the naughty man leave the gate open then? Oh, she's trembling. Some people have no consideration. She might have been killed. Yes, she might have been.
I've come to discuss a far more important issue, if you don't mind me saying so, than the welfare of our canine friends.
Well, we won't listen to you, will we? No.
Look, ladies.
Nasty, horrid man.
Yes, but you haven't heard what I want to talk to you about
And
yet.
we don't want to. No. We have nothing to say to people who have no feeling for
Yes, but you see,
themselves.
I want you to...
Nothing. Good evening.
Susan, come in a minute, will you?
Yes, Mr. Lever.
Sit down. You won't need that.
Very well.
Susan, I want to ask you something.
Yes, Mr. Lever.
Will you have dinner with me tonight?
No, thank you.
That's the third time this week I've invited you to dinner. And the third time you've turned me down. Why?
Because I don't like going about with married men.
Who said I was married?
A friend of mine.
What else did he tell you?
Isn't that enough?
No. It's either too much or not enough.
Do you mean you're not married?
Come to dinner and let me tell you the whole story. Then you can make up your own mind about me, will you? Please.
Well. All right.
I don't talk about my wife as a rule, but you're so sympathetic, I feel I can tell you. May I?
All right.
It's a tragedy. An absolute tragedy. The war, you know. All that terrible bombing. It affected her mind, and... well, she had to be put away.
You mean she's queer?
Well, completely insane. She tried to kill me. I got the most horrible scars where she attacked me.
How awful.
I'd show them to you, and they're not in the right places.
How long has she been like that?
5 years. It happened a month after our wedding. So you see, my marriage hasn't been a marriage at all. Just an empty shell. A mockery.
I'm so sorry.
I knew you would be. You're so different from other women.
Am I?
Yes. You've got courage and sympathy. You're so strong, and at the same time, so sweet. If you were in love with a man, really in love, I mean, you're the sort who'd defy convention and go away with him. To the ends of the earth. Wouldn't you?
You really think so?
It's written all over your face.
Is it?
It's an adorable face, too. Susan. Will you?
What? Defy convention? If you want me to.
I'd like a word with Mr. Huggett if he's in.
Yes, of course. Just a minute. Dad, someone wants to speak to you.
Who is it?
A policeman.
Oh, good morning, Sergeant.
Good morning, sir.
You wanted me?
That's right. I'm sorry to trouble you, sir, but I I want to give you a word of warning. Now, in the ordinary case, the police don't interfere in elections, unless you're called in, you understand?
Well, of course I do. Yeah, you get off, Jack. You'll be late. Yeah?
But this time we feel you've gone a bit too far, and it's got to stop.
Well, what's gone too far?
This, for a start.
Come inside. Where the blazes did you get that from?
On the notice board outside our station, sir, amongst the murderers and lost dogs.
Well, truth, Sergeant, I've never seen that in my life before.
Oh, now, we're not quite fools, you know. This and half a dozen others was plastered all over the town last night. We've had a few complaints in already. I expect there'll be more before the day's out. So I just want to warn you. Any more of it, there'll be a summons. Is that clear?
Quite clear. Thanks.
Between you and me, and duty apart, I'm all for this Lido notion of yours. But take my tip, that sort of thing won't get you anywhere. Is that clear? So don't let it happen again. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sergeant.
Hello, Christie. Go on. Look, are you still interested in that bit of land in Riverside Drive? You are? Well, I think I can fix it for you. If the price is right. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Meet me at the Wheat Sheaf Saloon Bar, 8 o'clock. Got it? 8 o'clock. And bring your checkbook with you. That's right. Yeah, okay. Bye-bye.
Oh!
Oh, no. Oh, hello. I want to speak to Mr. Bentley. Oh, hello, Bentley. Go on here. All right, how's yourself? Yeah, now look, I've been talking over that little proposition of yours. But if you're still interested, I think I can fix it for you. Oh, you leave her to me. I'll soon fix her. Okay, well, how about having a drink with me tonight? Your Wheat Sheaf. 8:15. Oh, no, the private bar. Well, it's quieter in there. Okay, that's a date then. All right, bye-bye. What do you want?
Key to the spare parts cupboard.
Huh. Well, next time, knock before you come in.
All right.
Do you mean you offered this fellow Gowan $6.50 for that miserable little rubbish dump?
But, Mr. Hall, you said you wanted it.
Not at that price. It's outrageous.
You told me to go £50 higher than the last bidder, so I did. He said he had an offer of 600 already.
And he was lying. Fantastic. Must have been out of your senses. Where did this happen?
In the Wheat Sheaf.
I see.
I only had one drink.
One too many. Well, you can go back and get out of it somehow. I'm not paying that.
I don't see how I can. He's bringing the deeds round at 10.
Well, you can tell him to take them away again.
Hello? Hall and Company?
You're going, yeah?
Oh, yes, Mr. Gowan. Bentley speaking.
Now, about that land. No, I'm afraid it's no go, old chap. I've got a better offer.
What?
Oh, well, don't say I didn't warn you. Well, I told you it was worth $7.50.
You sold it elsewhere for $7.50.
Ask him who bought it.
Well, now that we've lost the toss, I suppose there's no objection to telling us who bought it.
Okay. If it's going to give you any pleasure. A bloke by the name of Christie.
Christie, eh?
Any objection?
Oh, no, nothing at all.
Okay.
Yes, thanks. Goodbye.
Christie.
The Huggetts have done pretty well for themselves, haven't they?
Not to mention Wilson and Lever, blast them.
Do you think Huggett's been in with them all along?
Well, the way things have turned out, it rather looks like it. And it'll look like it to the honest electors of Stratham when I tell them about it.
You mean you're going to expose him?
I mean exactly that. Get Christie on the telephone. Tell him I want to see him right away. I'll show this Mr. Huggett where he gets off.
Oh, Huggett, thought we'd find you here. Alderman Hall would like a word with you.
With me, sir?
If you don't mind.
Well, of course not, if Mr. Campbell doesn't.
I'll, leave you together.
Thank you very much. I promise you I won't keep him more than a minute.
That's quite all right. Take your time.
Won't you sit down, Mr. Hall?
No, thank you. What I've got to say can be said in a minute. Your secret's out, Huggett.
What secret?
You know perfectly well what I mean. I don't want a scandal in Stratham, so I'm going to give you an easy way out. Withdraw from the election right away, and I'll say no more about it.
Are you crazy? I've got an eve of the poll meeting tonight.
Exactly. I shall be there, in the front row. And if you have the impudence to turn up, it'll be my painful duty to ask you one or two very awkward questions.
Such as?
Why you suggested a Lido when you knew the only land available was owned by Lever and Wilson and your wife? Why your wife sold her plot to Lever for 10 times its worth?
My wife hasn't sold anything to anybody.
Why do you take the trouble to lie? I've just seen Christie. He's shown me the documents. I've seen your wife's signature on it. And my guess is it's tucked away in Lever's safe at the moment.
Well, I can only say that I haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about. But I'll make it my business to find out.
You'd better. And you'd better have your withdrawal in before the meeting tonight.
That won't be necessary.
All right. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Are you quite sure you never signed anything?
Yes, I think so.
Now, what do you mean you think so? Either you signed it or you didn't. Now, which is it? Yes or no?
Yes.
You mean yes, you did?
No, I mean, yes, I didn't. I mean, no, I didn't.
Are you sure?
Yes.
That's all I want to know.
Joe, where are you going?
Out.
But you haven't had your supper.
But no time for supper. I've got things to do.
Oh, dear, I do hope he won't do nothing he'll be sorry for.
Mum, who was it wanted you to sell the land?
Everybody. First it was Mr. Christie, then it was Mr. Bentley, then it was Diana Gowan and Grandma. They was all on at me.
Gowan? I bet he knows something about this. I'm going down to see him.
Susan, not now. You haven't had your supper.
No time for supper. I've got things to do.
Oh, it's you.
Oh, hello, Peter. I've got to see Mr. Gowan right away.
Well, you can't.
Why not?
He isn't here.
Well, is Di in there?
No, they're both away. Gone on a week's holiday. And I'm in charge.
Oh, blast. Well, when did they go?
This afternoon. What's all the fuss about? Your dad was here asking for them too this afternoon.
Well, it's all that Alderman Hall. He says that Daddy and Morris and Mr. Wilson are all in a plot to make a lot of money out of the land for the Lido. And he says that Mum has sold the land to Morris, and Mum says that she hasn't. And Peter, you're not listening.
I say, look at this.
What is it?
You see that writing on the blotter?
Yes.
What does it look like to you?
Oh, I can't see. It looks like a signature.
You've got a mirror?
Yes.
Ethel Huggett. Ethel Huggett. Ethel Huggett.
What's it mean?
Someone's been forging your mother's name. That's what it means. And I know who did it.
Who?
Dear little Diana, of course. She was writing something when I came in here the other day. You know how she is. Can hardly write her own name. Much less anybody else's.
Peter, I'm going down to the office to see if that deed's in the safe. Will you come with me?
If you want me to. I've got my bike outside.
Good.
Oh, wait a bit. Look, I must go back. I must use the phone. Wait outside.
Will you hurry?
Mr. Lever, this is a friend. If you want to prevent a burglary, I should get down to your office right away.
This is Peter Hawtrey. I've got some very interesting news for you.
I don't know what's going to become of us. We shall all end up in prison. You see.
Of course you won't. You haven't done anything wrong, have you?
No.
Well, there you are. Now, look, you go and get dressed and we'll go to the meeting.
Oh, no, I
yes, you can. Look, Daddy's expecting you to be there. And we've got to back him up, haven't we?
I suppose so.
Well, go on, then.
I wonder how long we're going to wait in line.
How much longer?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry that Mr. Huggett has been delayed, but he'll be with us very soon now. He's on the way. And since a good thing is always worth waiting for, I know that you'll all want to stay and hear him. In the meantime, I hope that you'll allow me to act as a very unworthy deputy for him.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Certainly, if you wish to hear.
Is Mr. Huggett still standing for the council, or has he withdrawn his nomination?
I beg your pardon, sir?
I thought the question was perfectly clear. Is Huggett still standing for the council, or isn't he?
Of course he's still standing, of course.
Are you sure of that?
Perfectly.
Well, why isn't he here?
I've already told you, my dear sir. He's on his way here now.
In that case, may I ask another question?
If you like.
Did you or any of Mr. Huggett's supporters know that he or his wife own part of the land which the ratepayers have been asked to buy for this precious Lido?
You've no right to ask such a question, sir.
Oh, yes, I have. I'm a ratepayer. If I'm going to be asked to vote for a Lido and buy the land for it, I want to know who's making a quick profit at my expense.
You're completely out of order, sir. You've no right to make such a statement.
I'm not making a statement. I'm asking a question.
And I'm telling you, sir, that you are out of order.
I'll find it.
You don't know the keys anyway.
Yes.
Give them to me. What are you doing?
Well, I was just...
Here. Is that it? I think so. Yes, look, it's signed by Diane, Mother.
Is that her writing?
No, of course not. It's a forgery. You know they could go to prison for this.
Does it occur to you that you could go to prison for what you're doing now?
Morris.
Hello, Mr. Lever. My name's Hawtrey. Peter Hawtrey.
Give me that agreement.
No.
If you don't, I shall call the police.
Call them, I don't mind.
999.
Thank you.
That was quick, wasn't it? Aren't you going to let them in?
Ah, so I was right. There you are. There's your evidence. Alone in his office at night with a woman.
Not alone. I'm here.
That's beside the point. What's your name? Susan Huggett. What's yours? Mrs. Lever. Mrs... But... She's escaped. What do you mean, escaped? Well, you're in a lunatic asylum, aren't you? Who says I was in a lunatic asylum? Morris did. Oh, you did you?
No.
I'll give
Now,
you
don't
a
lose control.
lunatic
Now, let's be
asylum.
calm. Let's be calm. An explanation for everything, but anyway, let's get it.
Wait a minute.
Please, don't.
You know perfectly well that as soon as Mr. Huggett arrives, he'll answer all your questions for you.
When Mr. Huggett arrives. You know perfectly well he's not coming.
Can I say something?
Mrs. Huggett, you would be well advised to ignore Alderman Hall's remarks. In my opinion, they're slanderous and actionable. I should say nothing without first consulting your lawyer. Do you want to, Mrs. Huggett?
Yes, please.
Well, very well. But don't say I didn't warn you.
Well, that land by the river doesn't belong to my husband. It belongs to me and my cousin Edie. And if she's dead, so now it belongs to me and Di. It's my niece, Edie's daughter.
There you are. You've heard Mrs. Huggett's explanation, and it's quite obvious that Alderman Hall has been misinformed. I suggest that we continue with the meeting.
Just a minute. Ask Mrs. Huggett if she didn't sell the land yesterday, and how much she got for it.
I never sold nothing. I promised my granddad I wouldn't part with that land unless I was in trouble, and I didn't.
If I told you I'd spoken to the solicitor who drew up the agreement, and your signature was on it, what would you say?
I'd say you was a liar.
Mom! Mom! We've got it, look! Mom!
May I ask what that document is?
It's no business of yours, it's private.
Am I right in saying it's an agreement to sell a piece of land in Riverside Drive?
Yes, that's what it says.
And your signature's on it?
Of course not, it's a forgery.
Forgery. A pretty excuse, I must say. First you sell the land, then when you're found out, you say it's a forgery.
That's not true, and you know it.
Oh, isn't it? Where's your father? Why isn't he here? Because he's afraid to face the music.
Here, here, here. Say that again. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with your kind permission, I'd like to say a few words. I'm sorry I was late, but I had a bit of urgent business to clear up. Now, I gather Alderman Hall has been saying a few kind things behind my back. Well, I've got a few things to say myself, and I'm going to say them to his face. In the first place, when I put forward this Lido lark, I did so because I thought it was a good idea. Not because I wanted to flog a bit of land that belonged to the missus, or make a bit of money myself out of a building contract. But this afternoon, I had a bit of a shock. Alderman Hall threatened me. He said either I could withdraw from this election or else he'd prove that there was some funny business going on. Well, I didn't withdraw, but I did do some checking up. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that there is some funny business going on. Plenty of it. Whichever of these two schemes the council accepts, you're going to pay through the nose for something which isn't worth half what it'll cost. And for why? For why? Because there's a fiddle going on. I admit it. In fact, I'm telling you. Now, wait a minute, before you get angry, and you've a perfect right to get angry. I want you to listen to Miss Bramley. She's got something to say that I think you ought to hear.
Ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. Huggett. We didn't want to come here, of course. My sisters and I happen to own the Brumley estate. The three of us. Jointly, of course. Unfortunately, there's a lawsuit about the estate. Only because we can't agree how to divide it, Hetty. Remember that. The lawsuit must go on. Justice must be done. Meanwhile, despite our differences, we are prepared to donate the waterside meadows. They're part of the estate, you know. On the south side. To donate the waterside meadows free of charge to the ratepayers, provided that in future... The ground in question is known as Huggett Park. In honor of Mr. Huggett, of course. He was the first to make us realize how all the little doggies in Streatham would love it. Further, thank you, Trixie. Good
What do you think of it, Mother? J.S. Huggett, 3,000 majority.
Very good, I suppose.
What's up?
Nothing.
I know you better than that. Come on, out with it.
Well, I don't know as I can keep up with you now, Joe. Now that you've got a corporation and all that.
What are you talking about? Have you gone off your rocker?
I feel I can't talk about the things that interest you, that's all.
What things?
Oh, national insurance and football pools and rates and taxes and drains. I can't do it, Joe. I'm not made that way.
Now, look here, my girl. There's two things in the world I can't abide. Pretty women and clever women. You're neither, so what are you worrying about?
Do you mean that, Joe?
Well, of course I do. I like you the way you are. And if I hear you talking about rates and taxes and all that drivel, I'll take a big stick to you, my girl.
Oh, Joe. And you can't use that old thing anymore.